Oh, hey there. What I'd like to do today is something that you really need for your high school class. You need to know how to graph lines using slope-intercept form. So, for example, right here I have an equation. The equation says y is equal to negative 1 over 2x minus 2. Minus 2, the negative 2 right here, that's your y-intercept. That's where it's crossing the y-axis at negative 2. This is called your slope. This is your m. This is the steepness of the line. This is your rise over run. So it's going down 1 over 2. So start from your y-intercept. Down 1, 1, 2. I like to do it a couple times to make sure my line's straight. Down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And it can go the opposite. So negative 1 over positive 2 is the same thing as saying 1 over negative 2. So you go up 1, negative 2, up 1, negative 2. Draw your line. And that's what the line should look like for y is equal to negative 1 over 2x minus 2. So now I'm going to show you the opposite. The opposite means we have a line and we're going to write it into slope-intercept form. Now, I know that slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. So if I have my line right here, and my line shows this slope right here, I can tell it's starting at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the y-intercept is negative 5. So I know my formula is y is equal to something x plus b. B is always my y-intercept. M is my slope, B is my y-intercept. So it's crossing at negative 5. So I'm going to put it as negative 5. I know I have a plus sign right there. At the end, I'll just write minus 5. Now to find my slope. I see that it starts at my y-intercept and it's going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, rise 1, run 1, rise 1, run 1. Therefore, my slope is 1 over 1. What's interesting about this is you don't have to write a denominator of 1. So for example, if I ask you, what is the denominator of the number 20? You would say the denominator is 1. So if I showed $20, if you wanted to turn it into a fraction, 20 over 1. So I don't have to write the 1 down here, and I do not have to write the 1 in front of the x. We all know it's 1x. So to take this and to clean it up mathematically, we would write y is equal to x minus 5. And this line right here is represented by that equation. Okay? So, when I'm looking at this line here at number 1, I want you to notice that the line is actually crossing at the 4 here. And it looks like it's going down to, and it's crossing the grid right here as well. So that is going down 1, 2, 3. So the rise is negative 3 and the run is 1, 2. So if I'm going to write this into slope-intercept form, which is y is equal to mx plus b, my m is my slope and my b is my y-intercept. So we all saw that it crossed at 4, so 4 is my y-intercept, and my slope is negative 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, x is equal to y. So this is what my equation looks like for this line here. So we know our slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. M is always our slope, b is always our y-intercept. So looking at this blue line on number 2, where is it crossing the y-axis? It looks like it's crossing the y-axis at 0, 0, the origin. So my y-intercept is just 0. I actually don't have to write it, but I'm showing it to you. My slope is going from 0, 0, and where else is it crossing the grid? It doesn't look like it's crossing until there. And if I go up, it looks like it's crossing there as well. So how do I get from one point to another? I know this is a negative slope because it's going downhill. If I read it from left to right, it's going downhill. Like if I was riding a skateboard, this would be going downhill. Now, how do I get from here to here? I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down 5 over 1, 2, 3. Negative 5 over 3x. Y is equal to negative 5 over 3x plus 0, but we don't have to write the plus 0. We'll just write y is equal to negative 5 over 3x. So down 5, positive 3x. This is the steepness of your line. That's your slope. I hope that makes sense. Now, looking at number 3 on this worksheet, I can tell you that it's crossing right here at 2. That's your y-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and write y is equal to something x plus what? What is my y-intercept? Oh yeah, 2. Okay, so now I need to find out what my slope is. What is the steepness of my line? So as you can see, this is going uphill. If I'm reading it from left to right, it's like if you're riding a skateboard from left to right, it's going uphill. So it's crossing the grid here at the y-intercept, and it looks like it's crossing here as well. It's crossing here as well, and it's crossing the grid right there. So you have to get from one point to another. How do I get from one of these points where it's crossing the grid to the other? So I'm going to start by going up. I rise 1, 2, 3, and I run 1. So I rise 3 and I run 1. But I don't need to write that 1 in the denominator. I could just write my equation is y is equal to 3x plus 2, and that's what my equation looks like of this line here. If you notice, it's a positive slope. That means it's going uphill, and it has a positive y-intercept. That means it's crossing the y-axis in a positive zone on the axis. Okay, so on this one here, I want you to notice that my y-intercept is where? Good. It's at 3, right between the 2 and the 4. And my slope is going uphill, so that means it's going to be a positive slope. Is the graph crossing this grid? No. Is the graph crossing here? No, 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 yes. It's crossing right there at the grid, so those are the 2 points that we're going to use. And we're going to find out, or we're going to write this equation. So in this equation, it says y is equal to something x plus the y-intercept. The slope x plus y-intercept. So where is this crossing the y-axis, this line here? It's crossing at 1, 2, 3. So my y-intercept is 3. What's my slope? My slope is going from this point here to this point here, because that's where it's crossing the grid. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 5, run 1, 2, 3. So my equation looks like this. Y is equal to 5 over 3x plus 3. Now, before we move on, I want to show you another thing. What does it look like when my graph is a horizontal line? So if I have a horizontal line and my graph looks like this, just focus on this red line that I'm drawing right here. Okay? So that means that it's a horizontal line. That means that it has a 0 slope. So that means that this right here is going to be 0. And my y-intercept, this is always my y-intercept. My y-intercept is where the line is crossing the y-axis. Do you see that it's crossing at negative 1, 2, 3, 4? So it's crossing at negative 4. So my equation, I don't have to write this because anything times 0 is 0. So it's just going to be y is equal to negative 4. And this is what the equation looks like of this line. But what if the line was a vertical line? If I had a vertical line going straight up and down like this. Now just focus on the green line that I drew. The green vertical line. Now, that means that a vertical line means that the slope is undefined. Okay? And does it have a y-axis? Is it crossing the y-axis anywhere? No. So on this line, you would write x is equal to -3. So the equation for this line, because it's undefined, is x is equal to -3. Okay, what I'd like you to do now, what we'd like you to do is do numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. Take a screenshot of your equations that you write from the lines and submit that equation to Google Classroom. Have a good day.